Yeah.
Obviously over 35, but I wanted to share it with some of the young people who work with us.
Absolutely. It's being
There's Reggie. Hi.
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, thanks so much for doing all this. I mean, we are so excited to have you. And, you know, I know it takes, you're muted, unmute.
Pamela's connected to family. That's how I got involved.
That is, okay, all right. Well, we're all family here, so
Like
that's
how, yeah, how everything generally happens. All good things generally happen through family and friends. So that's how I wound up doing this. You know,
thanks so
so
much. I owe
central.
you a feminist T-shirt. We have a fierce,
Yeah, please
we
send it,
have a
please.
fierce feminist T-shirt, and when we're at a good point where I can get to them, I'm going to send you one of those.
Well, listen, I've got, let me see, next Saturday and next Sunday, I have 2 featured readings online. So if you ship it to me quick, I'll wear it at one of the readings.
They're not with me. They're back in the East Coast. We're here in Michigan. But for your next 100 performances, we fully expect you to be wearing the Fierce Feminist T-shirt. I'm going to get off now because I know this is your time and up to you.
It's all of our time.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, but ahead. Okay, so what you want to do is share this with as many prospective poetry submitters possible. So you just want to share this recording, all right? So to kind of give them an idea about the theme. Again, the theme is to make an attempt to write poetry, lyrics to a song, poetic monologue, dramatic monologues that celebrate the UN Women at 10's 10th anniversary of the work they've done in 90 countries, all right, to help women and young ladies and girls and babies, all right, to have better lives. Basically, that would be the synopsis, all right. Celebrate through poetry, UN Women at 10, and the work they've done to help women celebrate life. All right, that would probably do it. So I'm going to start with, since it's kind of a universal thing, I'm going to start with a poem by 10-year-old Sarah Couch from Kingston, Jamaica. She was 10 when I met her, and she wrote this poem. And you may want to send this poem out to the contestants because, well, hey, let me just do it first, and then we can kind of delve into what it's about and her situation. All right, it's called Blank. And again, titles are really crucial to anything, but titles are very crucial because it has to allow the reader/listener freedom to imagine. You don't want to be leading them to the water fountain. You want to give them something that's ambiguous, that could have multiple meanings. So now Sarah's poem was titled Blank. Okay, here we go. And I'll do it quickly and I'll do it slower for the more subtle nuances. My life's good but not bad, because good is not bad as it's sad. Because sad is sad is sad if I count to 3, not 4, like 4 is too much to say when life's not a bore. Music, music in the air, music, music everywhere. Da 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 da. Stop. She actually wrote down on the paper D-A, 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 D-A 8 times. So at the age of 10, she's already incorporating scatting somehow. Her mother's great singer, great performer from Kingston, Jamaica. She was able to figure out that in this poem, if somebody read it / heard it, she was gonna scat. Or this is a device that a 10-year-old is using in her poetry. So it's D-A, so it's da 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 da. Noisy, noisy, too noisy for words. Bye bye, not tie-dye, because my life's black and white. Then blank, blank, blank. The last 3 words of the line, blank, blank, blank. I'll do it again slowly. And I'll let you all analyze it and tell me what she's talking about. My life's good but not bad, because good is not bad. Is it sad? Because sad is sad is sad if I count to 3, not 4. Like 4 is too much to say when life's not a bore. Music, music in the air, music, music everywhere, da, 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 da. Noisy, noisy, too noisy for words. Bye, bye, not tie-dye, because my life's black and white, blank, blank, blank. 10 years old, Kingston, Jamaica, all right? Now, Sarah, her mother's very famous entertainer, singer, piano player from Jamaica. She lives high atop Jacks Hills Road in Kingston on a nice plot of land, 4-bedroom, 2-story home, swimming pool, the whole nine. Sarah could sit on the edge of the swimming pool and overlook the entire city of Kingston. Every day, Sarah is taken to school down the long, winding road through the Barbican, through the ghettos and everything, to her elitist private Catholic school. So she takes that drive down. She sees all the poverty, all the darkness, all the strange things. She sees the beauty too, because it's green and flowering, but she does that twice a day. So I come and I'm talking to her one day about just her daily routine. And she writes this thing because she could not figure out in her own 10-year-old head why she was privileged, which is basically what happened. And she didn't know that. It wasn't an intellectual exercise for her to know that she was privileged, but she was questioning why so many dark and terrifying things she'd see every day when she'd go to school. And she was like, I don't think she was ever in a classroom where she had more than 8 students. She's very, very, very privileged life. And yet she wrote this poem because I asked her about her daily routine. And I just asked her about her daily routine, and did she feel different than the people that she could see from the top of her Jack Hills Road home? And she wrote one more time, my life's good but not bad, 'cause good is not bad, is it sad? 'Cause sad is sad is sad if I count to 3, not 4. Like 4 is too much to say when life's not a bore. Music, music in the air, music, music everywhere, da 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 da. Noisy, noisy, too noisy for words. Bye bye, not tie-dye, 'cause my life's black and white, blank, blank, blank. And it's actually one of the most concise poems I've ever read. And then when she read it aloud, when she said it aloud, it became a whole different thing, a whole nother thing. So for the young ladies that you may all submit this recording to, or just submit to the contest, the UN Women at 10's contest, you want to give them the idea, again, about theme. You want to talk to them about theme if you can. The theme, again, being the UN Women at 10's 10th anniversary of helping women and girls and females in 90 countries across the globe. That should be the theme. And what does that mean to celebrate other women helping other women globally? So taking a global view at the world to help. And what ways can they help? And if they're going to write poems, no matter where they're at, they want to write poems about personal experiences of having someone help them or them helping others. Because we'd be all in a state, we all hear stories every day about teenagers and even younger than teenagers helping the world, helping each other out, figuring out ways to help each other. So that would be the theme. Now, in terms of structure and form, like I'll be a judge, so they're gonna submit videos, 5 minutes or less. And they should all know that this is a visual medium. This online, Zoom, Face Messenger, whatever, this is a visual medium, but so is poetry. So is the writing and crafting of poetry. It's show / not tell. It's show, not tell. And so what happens a lot of times when people submit poetry visually, like videos, they go out of their way. One of the biggest mistakes that they make is to preface their poetry. So what you want to kind of suggest is there's no need to introduce anything. It's like standing up there explaining about a haiku, and the explanation would be longer than the poem. Right? So you want to discourage prefacing. You really want to do that. If the title doesn't do it, change the title. You also want to discourage, because this is a visual medium, they're submitting videos, you want them to make certain that they understand that this is their opposition. This screen, these brain dead rotation devices, or tablets, or smartphones, or laptops, these are opposition to writers, especially poets, because the key components of poetry, brevity, efficiency, and imagery. Without him, we can leave either brevity or efficiency out, but without those two components, you're telling as opposed to showing. We want to see, we want the words to make us see the story. Number 3, you want to discourage them all to be involved in the Jennifer Lopez choreographed performance poetry dance, all right? That is crucial because a lot of times when they're submitting videos, they're moving around, throwing their hands, they're doing chop, chop, like they're cooking, it's like they're in a karate class, whatever. So you want to discourage that and put the focus on the imagery they create with the words. Because now this is, again, a visual medium, but we're not looking. We're not here to look. We're here to hear. And can the words that they use in their videos create pictures in our heads that take the focus on them, off of them visually? Can I watch a video of someone reading a poem and close my eyes and not be concerned with looking in this screen at this person, but listening to the words that they're using to create pictures, word pictures, imagery in my head? Now, I'll give you another example. Let's take Ruby Dee. Now, most people don't realize that Ruby Dee was a fabulous poet. Great writer, but she's a fabulous poet, okay? When Ruby Dee videotaped deaf poetry, she was introduced by Mos Def, and she got a remarkable standing ovation, which she should. And she came out, now I just talked about not to preface poetry. She walked on the stage almost yelling, like, like she was so happy that she couldn't contain herself, that the audience would stand up and give her, she was like, oh, and she started saying, I knew him, I knew his mama. Then she said, Tupac Shakur. But that was how she walked on stage. I knew him, I knew his mama, Tupac Shakur. So that's prefacing in a way, but there's a sense of performance, all right, and almost drama that's attached to it. Mm-hmm. So then I'll do an excerpt from what she did, all right? But she did set it up. When she said his name, when she said Tupac's name, she told the entire audience. She didn't say the title. She said, I knew him, I knew his mama, Tupac Shakur. When she said that, everybody in the audience, it's almost like she diffused everyone standing up clapping for her, because that was going to be a problem, I think, in her mind, from watching the video over and analyzing it. She didn't need all of that. All right. The minute she said Tupac's name, everybody sat down, like almost like they were supposed to do it. She said Tupac Shakur, everybody sat down, and it got completely quiet. So this is a device that some of these people, some of the young ladies who submit to the poetry contest, this is another device they want to use. How do you take the onus off yourself and bring it out into the world? All right. You can tell a story about yourself and how you mentored someone, or how you helped your grandmother who's in a wheelchair, you fed her. I mean, there's all these stories, but you want to be able to take the onus off yourself at the very start. So this is what she did. I knew his mama, Tupac Shakur. Now this is an excerpt from what she said. And her poem is so different from Sarah's, because Sarah's was almost like an exorcism. But Ruby's is my favorite thing in poetry, a shot list. She created a shot list as if she were a director of a film. All right. She's going to make a movie, going to take the poem or the words and use them as a shot list. Okay, here we go. Sing, dance, do your weed, CEO it even, play ball. But that revolution thing, we don't do that no more. Any number of ways you like it, get with it, get on it, get down. Forget revolution, forget thinking, get yourself some money, get with a gang, Be a star, rapper, actor, athlete, or the new town clown. Revolutionaries don't get job security. They compete with rats for cheese and with strays for shelter, while big bullets make feet out of their knees. Tupac, spelled backwards, kaput, meaning over, ended, finished, done. 26 was he? Oh my God, so young. And that's not even the end of the poem or the beginning of the poem. That's a chunk in the middle. But again, she created a shot list, which is some of the most, I think all brilliant poetry is that. That's why line breaks are so crucial. They're very crucial, but shot list, sing, picture, dance, picture, do your weave, CEO it even. Now, what is that? CEO it even. Is that a picture? Is that tangible? Is that intangible? CEO, we all know what that means. CEO it even, play ball. All right, sing, dance, do your weave, CEO it even. So, shot list. You want to reach out to the young ladies who are going to be involved in the contest. That's another device they can use. Shot list, shot list, shot list. Line breaks, brevity, imagery. All right. Try to stay away from preface if you can. Make the title ambiguous. Get rid of the Jennifer Lawrence or the Bruce Lee choreographed performance poetry dance if possible. All right. When they're rehearsing their poetry before they record it, make them handcuff themselves, put their hands behind their back, put their hands in their pockets, and recite the poem or say the words that they have to say. I find that when something is brilliantly written, it will direct you. If you're going to say it aloud, it's one thing if it's on the page, but if you're going to take it to a stage, you now have a responsibility to move the crowd. So, hands behind your back, cuff them like this and read your poem, then you will be emotionally forced to move when the poem tells you. So brilliantly written text will direct itself. It will tell you what to do with your hands, where to turn your head. Should this go high? Should this go low? Should you whisper? Should you stretch this vowel sound? This all is incorporated in the brilliance of the text. Great text, because great text always does one thing. It tells you every step of the way how you should feel, period. So now when we get these videos, I want to sit and look at a video. I'm not concerned with how the person who's in the video reciting her poem, I'm not concerned with how she feels. I'm concerned with, can she make me feel the way she feels? That's the first thing that will grab my attention. Like, oh, I know how she feels. I'm a man. I'm an old man, and she's 17 years old, and she's making me understand the pressure or the tension of her life because of the imagery and the musicality that she's got in her poetry. So brilliantly constructed text will tell you, not even tell you, it'll dictate what you do with your hands, your eyes, your mouth, nonverbal communication, because you know how you feel. You know how you feel every step of the way. Last component, probably the most important, but the last, the sound, the musicality of the poetry, using the proper use of language, the way this word modifies that word, but also the alliteration, the rhyme schemes, the vowel sounds being stretched in all different manners. But you have to they should all know that they have to make the poems sing. And you don't have to literally be a singer, but you have to make the poems sing some way, shape, or form. Because we could all, each one of you, if I said, hey, tell me your favorite verse from a song that you love and you know by heart, you'd all just jump right to it. I mean, there's not anybody here, if I said, tell me your favorite, recite to me for a verse of your favorite song or a song you love that you know by heart. You could all do it. The poets want to strive when they submit to give us the things that we may remember. I remember taking a workshop with Amiri Baraka, And Amiri Baraka said in this workshop that Black people work 3 jobs, going to college, taking care of their kids, taking care of the other kids in the neighborhood. So the majority of us don't have time to read. I was like, wow, that's interesting. Then he said, so if you ever get the opportunity to stand up in front of a group of people, he said, you're not looking at eyes or faces, you're looking at ears. He said, the only thing you should see are ears, which I thought was really a remarkable image. So you don't see people's eyes or face, you look at ears. Their ears are camcorders, their foreheads are flat screen, and your job is to put a picture up there. He said, but the most important thing is to say something, brevity, minimalist, some kind of musicality that they will remember, because most of them they're not afforded the opportunity to read. We have so many others. Now, most of us here are readers, obviously. That's why we're here, right? I don't believe you could be a poet if you're not a reader. I seriously doubt you. I don't think you should call yourself a poet if you're not a reader. And anybody could be a great reader, but not everybody could be a great poet, all right? But the greatness of reading is that it helps you to find what your interests are as a writer, right? So everyone can be a great reader. Not all of us can be great poets. Like most of us, like I've been called that. I'm like embarrassed. When somebody calls me that, I'm embarrassed. Like, no, I'm not a poet. I know who poets are. I know what that means. I've been accused of that, but I always run from them because it's like the responsibility to go, but I'm a great reader. All right. I'll take, I'm guilty of that, but it's always helped me with my poetry. Any questions, any thoughts, observations? Nothing? Oh, that's good.
Reg, we have some young poets in the house.
Oh, they're here? Oh. Yeah. Well, they cannot workshop their poem that they're going to submit to the contest, because that wouldn't be fair. I'm going to be a judge. I can't really hear your poem, but can somebody identify themselves as going to be a contestant in who am I seeing?
Tamir.
Oh, Tamir. I can't see her.
Hear me?
Are you there, Tamir? Oh, okay. I see you now. So you're submitting to the contest.
Yes. Yes, I am.
What's up? Are you a seasoned poet? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I got you now. Yeah, your face just came up.
Yes, a seasoned poet. No, I'm pretty much a beginner poet still. Still growing, still stepping.
Yeah, like me.
What is?
Yeah.
Yes. Indeed.
Definitely like me. You have any questions or anything about the contest or about writing or?
The notes has sitting into me, having me thinking more into what it is I'm doing, I'm writing on, and the poetry that I'm writing for this event itself, having me because I wrote something, but having this workshop is really helping me think more into what it is that I'm gonna create, So.
Well, remember this. The celebration of what the organization has done is the key component, all right, of what you want to write. You want to somehow figure out a way to, and I kind of call it it's kind of like sampling in a way, all right? It's like almost strategic sampling. Say there's a theme, somebody gives you a prompt, all right? You're in a workshop, a writing workshop, somebody gives you a prompt, all right? A lot of people take the prompts, all right, and they run with them. But a really great device is to take a prompt and kind of sample it into what you're writing. Actually take some of the words from the prompt. Like, I think that "you and women at 10," what a beautiful line. That's like a line of poetry right there. Like when Pamela first approached me and John approached me, we were talking about, when I heard that, I was like freaking out. Then when I saw the way it was spelled with the @ and the number 10, I was like, whoa, that's a t-shirt. You know, it was so poetic. And I thought to myself, wow, that's a prompt. But you don't really want to use it as a prompt. That is a prompt, but you don't want to use it as a prompt because everyone would be kind of like directed in a certain way. Like, I should write about this because of, but you and women at 10, it's everything a line in a poem should be. It's got the musicality. It definitely has imagery. It's efficient. There's a rhyme scheme involved. All right. It's very colorful. It's very celebratory, got very positive connotations. I mean, I could see someone stand up in front of 5,000 people going like, or 50,000 people and just saying, the UN women at 10. It would just drive people crazy. People would be out of their seats. The UN women at 10 have, boom. So it's a great prompt, but it's not really a great prompt because this is still a contest. And so people are competing against each other, whatever that means. All right. And at this point in time in our history of poetry, like, I thought it was frightening back in the day when poetry slams started. I was like, wait a minute. I was taught as a little kid that poetry was this beautiful, spiritual, like really like personal, creative situation. And then the first time I did a poetry slam, and I was like, people are gonna score you for this beauty and this spirituality and this reverence that you have for words and language. It was kind of frightening, all right? But we've gone past that. It's way beyond now, because the great thing about slams and contestants and, you know, winning and losing, it gets so many young people involved in the writing process, which is the most positive aspect of it. Because you got some little kids that don't want to read. They got really, like, their reading skills are shot. But the minute you put them in a situation where it's competitive, it's competition, a lot of things get out of the way. So slams and contests have become an amazing thing for literacy, especially in this country. In this country, like, I cannot believe how often I'll go into, like, as I call them, urban terrorist neighborhood schools. You know what I'm talking about, all right? And I call them that because the tax bases in the neighborhoods are so low. The books are bad, the buildings crumbling. You know, you all know what I'm talking about. But I can't believe how often, if you can just set up a competitive situation with the students, they're at it. They're like leaning forward, listening, they're focused, they're disciplined. So competition has become a really great thing for literacy in urban neighborhoods in this country. And I see that everywhere I go. All right. So when Pamela and them approached me about this, I'm like, well, what a brilliant idea to have a contest celebrating helping each other out. Women helping each other out. Women helping each other to rise, as Maya would say, and still I rise. So it's a wonderful thing, you know. And so Tamir, whatever you're writing, and, you know, I'll just tell you, somebody who's going to be judging and sitting listening, I will be moved by someone who's celebrating empathy. All right? You can't do it here. Pamela and them cannot do this if empathy is not at the top of the list. All right? So now here, you could write, if you kept that in your head, empathetic. Okay. Which is a beautiful word. Empathy is a beautiful word. What a beautiful musical word. All right. But what about the meaning of it? All right. And so think about what it takes. And you don't have to be a woman to understand what it takes to do something for someone else and not to expect any applause or any pat on the back after you've done it. Because in my lifetime, the Black women who helped to raise me and keep me on a narrow path, it was about that. All right. You do something for someone else. Do not expect to be applauded for it. Do it because it's the right thing to do. And that's not even anything religious. So it could be looked at that. But my grandmother used to say, like, look, unless you fell off the back of the truck and you damaged your brain, you know the difference between right and wrong. You know good and bad. you know manners, bad manners, good. She said, you know this is inherent in you. It's the way you were raised. So she expects that. So why shouldn't we all expect other human beings to be empathetic? All right. But then we get every day, we experience unempathetic human beings. Like a dude who had George Floyd's neck under his knee had empathy, it wouldn't have happened. So then, was he raised like that? Did he learn that behavior? Do you learn not to be empathetic? So Tamir, you could just run with that. All right. And that's universal. And then the juxtaposition or the contradiction of who is and who's not. Why was this one empathetic? Now you got two of the other police officers trying to act like, well, I said so and blah, blah, blah. No, whether you did or not, your empathy was in your back pocket when this all went down. Mm-hmm. So you weren't raised properly. And that's how I look at it. All right, you were not raised properly, or you have some physiological damage to your brain, to your cortex, because you got to know the difference between right and wrong. And if you could hear someone telling you they cannot breathe and you can still be unempathetic, you got a problem. That's a problem. So these are the kind of things. Can you write a poem that weaves in and out of these different juxtapositions of emotions, empathy, sensitivity? All right. Because I think that's what I would be listening. That's what I would want to hear personally. But now, can you use the language? Can you find and create new metaphors? Can you use new language to tell a story that, because like everything's in brain dead rotation nowadays. If you see it once, you're going to see it 1,000 times. All right. You hear George Floyd's name once, you heard it 1,000 times. You've seen the video once, 1,000 times. How do you cut through that? All right. That's called brain dead rotation, invented by the United States of America to sell milk and dog food and pancakes. All right. Brain dead rotation. All right. Everything's in brain dead rotation. How do you write a poem that would force itself to become part of this brain dead rotation we all experience? And there are certain devices that you can use to do that. All right. Very few people write poetry that have hooks in them, because hooks seem cheap and kind of like, but you can write poems that have hooks in them, but they got to be smart hooks. They got to be brilliant hooks. All right. They don't have to rhyme. They don't have to sing. They have to put pictures in people's heads. All right. Questions? Observations?
Reg, we have Talia who's here, and Talia is an ambassador for us, and she is trying to entice young people to participate. And then I see Jasmine is here from Monday's class. Jasmine is here. So we have.
Oh, I know Jasmine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have.
How's it going, Jasmine?
Good, thank you. I still haven't sculpted that poem yet.
Huh? Say it again.
I still haven't sculpted that poem I read out that day.
Oh, you got a busy life, huh? Yeah, Jasmine came to a workshop the other day and she wrote a poem on the spot, and we just started sculpting it. We started to edit it on the fly. And it was, I got to give you a lot of credit, because you were pretty courageous to sit in front of a group of people and let me sculpt your poem like that. That was really, most people get terrified of that. And you wrote it right on the spot. Most people get so protective of what they've written. And for you to write something instantaneously, all right, you inspired to write it, and then to have me, because I'm kind of like brutal. I'm kind of brutal in a way. I don't mean that in a negative sense, but like if it doesn't move me, but there are elements of it, there are elements that do, I want to cut to the chase and get to those elements. And anything that gets in the way of the beautiful gems or jewels that you put down on a piece of paper or you type into your computer, all right, you know when you've got beautiful words. If you write a line or you write a haiku or you write a verse, you write a whole poem, you know when something works. The only reason you don't know it, whether it works or not, is if you do not read it aloud while you're working at it. Or after you're finished with it, you read it aloud, or you let someone else read it aloud to you. But we all get kind of scared, or we get a little nervous about sharing, so we don't. But what a great thing to do. Very few writers ever have the opportunity to have other people read aloud what they've written. So few of us get that opportunity.
You know, but I'm just thinking, Reg, that might be a good thing to suggest to people for this contest, that they have maybe
there you
someone.
Go, Pam. You hear that? Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, sure.
For all of you who are suggesting that your mentees or your mentors, read it or let somebody else see it before you send it.
Yeah.
Let someone else see the video before you send it out. And what are their thoughts? All right. Yeah. Because everyone's an expert nowadays. Everyone is an expert. And we'd be all beaten over the head. Beaten over the head to death with all the expertise that's out there. All right. Every day, somebody, this one, let's have this group, like Meet the Nation. We're going to have these four, I don't know, my wife called me to the TV the other day, and she knows I don't watch TV like that. And she wanted to know what's the heavy set governor from New Jersey? Used to be the governor from New Jersey.
Chris Christie.
Him.
Yeah.
So Eileen says, yo, they're talking about the Democratic so-and-so, and Chris Christie's is sitting this. And I'm like, who? And I went and I'm like, what is he doing there? And I was under the impression that the whole conversation was about the DNC. And I'm like, well, why is he there? So now this guy has become one of the most foul human, because I met this guy, and this is a foul human being. And I'm like, what is he doing sitting here as an expert for this? Whose decision was it? And it was George Papadopoulos and his crew. Like, who is responsible? Then that made me think, okay, who is George Papadopoulos now? Like, I know his name, I know his face, I know whatever his resume is. Then I went back and started checking him. I just Googled him and Christie. And boom, video after video came up of the two of them sitting in this expertise moments on his show. All right. And I'm like, why is he so close to this guy? Well, anyway, back to poetry. And Chris Christie's not poetic, and neither is George Papadopoulos. All right. Because the more Eileen even made me listen to some of the speeches, the DNC speeches, and I kept telling her, I said, but wait a minute. I know plenty of poets that could write poems on the topic that these people are speaking about. Not Obama and Michelle. They kind of got some poetry in them. They kind of got that in them. All right. I'm not saying that they got that in them. But most of the other people were talking. I'm like, I know poets that could efficiently and with imagery tell these stories really short and brief, not all dragged out and all, which is, again, everyone, brevity, minimalism, efficiency. All right. So anyone you're talking about in this contest, so somebody could do a haiku. I'm sitting there watching them do a 17-syllable, beautiful piece about the celebration of the UN Women at 10. They're going to catch my attention.
Yeah.
All right. The brevity alone is going to, because that takes confidence. It takes confidence to be able to write something efficient, short. All right. Where you don't go on and on to the break of dawn, because many of us, we've all been to poetry readings. And I bet you everyone sitting here has been to a poetry reading when they wanted to say,
stop
or they
there.
have said after the poem was over, they should have stopped.
Stop there. Right.
Stop. Oh, they should have stopped.
Reg?
And I'm like, no. Oh, yes.
Okay, I know that time is short.
Yes.
So we have a couple of questions for you. First, the questions are in the chat, because I know you have to be out of here in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So first, Arlene has her hand up, and then Sun Young would like to know, could you read something of yours to close the
Of mine?
Yeah.
Okay, here. Well, let me do that first. I'll do a haiku. This is a haiku for AOC. All right. I love her now. I just realized who she was. I listened to her talk. I'm like, whoa, she's for real. I made campaign for her if she wants to run for president. So anyway, haiku for AOC. An authentic, original orator committed to change. Boop. What do you think? Haiku for AOC. An authentic and original orator committed to change.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I want to get it to her somehow, you know. Or actually, I'm going to put it on a T-shirt and wear it myself. I'm going to get one T-shirt, just put it on a T-shirt myself and go read when I do some poetry or some workshop.
Very musical. Thank you.
Yeah, because I love her. Yeah, I totally love her.
Also, Reg, there are a number of YouTube videos where you are, so I'll send some of them out also to people who are on the chat. I'll send the links to those YouTube videos.
You know, that's really weird you say that.
Why?
In all my years I've been involved in, like, I've only actually personally placed one thing on YouTube. And I'm trying to figure out, how do these things get up there? Any other questions? I'm sorry, this is just wow,
Arlene has a question. Arlene, you want to unmute yourself?
Oh, thank you all for coming.
Hey, thank you for the workshop.
Yes, thank you for your time.
Yeah, this has been great. Arlene, can you unmute yourself? Are there any other questions while we're waiting for Arlene to unmute? Any comments? Any plans to recruit young people?
Can you say more about, or maybe this isn't something that'll get emailed to me, like the dates and the deadlines and down the line, how to submit stuff?
Yeah, we'll hook you up.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll personally take care of Stephanie, Pam.
I sent her something already.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, here, listen, shot list. And this is an idea of structure and form from one of my favorite poets, Suhair Hamad, from her book, Born Palestinian, Born Black. Now, check out here. Just think about the images that she writes down. Door knocker earrings, drug dealing earnings, Gucci leather polo sweater, gold tooth front and frontin' with a 40. Bag by Fendi's, shoes by Nike, crotch grabbing, cops clocking, smoking blunts on the hunt, chasing. All right, can you see what's going on there? So that is so important in poetry today, creating these shot lists. And it also helps with line breaks in poetry. If you create a shot list, that's the break of the line. Once you give the picture, the line is broken, right? What is the picture? Boom. Here's another piece by 99, AKA Deirdre Moses. Now listen to the device. She comes out of the gate and this is what she does in the beginning of the poem. She says the first line 3 times. So right away, musically, she's pulling you in. And once she's done with the first line, she's repeated it, recurring theme, all right, reprise. Once she's done with saying it 3 times, you're kind of locked in. And the first 3 lines are, I never, I never, I never. But she's got it on 3 lines. So it's not like she's got I never and in caption or whatever, like repeat 3 times. I never, I never, I never. Suck sour splints from a chew stick. Don't flick Vicks cause fire sticks to flame. Get wicks to give brothers who choose to let burns remain. Now I see all you Toms, Dicks, and Harrys are not the same. Some dip their lower lips, sip a supple poison, risk toxins just to get their rocks in and not their rocks off. Cancer by alien tongue, now doctor says cough. Team with the enemy, forgetting the me, we, she. I lie in with and savor the flavor of a sexual foe, then slowly watch it grow to OBGYN I go. That's just the beginning of the poem, all right? But now she's taking it another step because she's incorporating reprise. So you'll remember, pay attention. She's got the rhythm, she's got the rhyme scheme, but she's also got some very interesting pictures. Any more questions? I still got 9 minutes here. And I bet you know what the problem is? I don't do anything when I'm working like this. I don't mess with chats. I don't answer anything. I just try to engage and jump through the screen if I can. I'm trying to learn how to jump through the screen. You know, like in the Amityville Horror, when the little kid jumped in and they got snapped. Like I'm trying to figure out, how do you do that? What is the energy level needed so you can jump in and out of the screen? And
wow.
I'm starting to learn that disappearing from the screen, flashing fingers, there's so many things that can make this medium so less scripted. Yeah, exactly. See, Soon Young, yep, in and out. But so I go out of my way not to come prepared. It sounds insane, right? I knew today I wanted to talk about Sarah and recite something from Ruby Dee and say something about the UN Women at 10. But I come to these sessions unprepared and force myself to improvise, but it's based on solid technical things. I'm not talking about anything that I haven't not spoken about before, but I want to leave myself open to any possibilities so I don't create a lesson plan. I don't script it. And so for me, that's the #1 rule of becoming an energetic persona when you're doing online, whatever, all right? You cannot be scripted, because the minute you are scripted, it takes away from your energy, your ability to energize. And now you also have to listen, all right? You have to listen. You can't do anything in this world if you don't have great listening skills, all right? But I'm starting to find I'm starting to do this enough now that I realize that I don't even give people breaks to talk, because I'm like zoom, zoom, zoom. I'm just going. So I've got to learn to back off sometimes. I call it Miles Davis silences. So Miles will go da ba da da space space ba ba da space space ba 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 da da ba 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 space ba da da space space. So I got to learn how to do that. All right, I really have to, and you can all learn to do that when you're Tamir, when you're writing a poem. Think about, you listen to Miles Davis ever?
No.
One thing, people are saying, who should I read? Reggie, what poet? I said, listen to Miles Davis. Why? Because Miles Davis creates silences and spaces in his music. And if you could do that as a writer, if you are not afraid of the silence, all right, but silence becomes important. Whether you're sitting on a page or if you're doing it on stage, the silence becomes important because you allow the listener to get it. It's almost like cooking gumbo or something, or stew. It's like you got let it marinate. All right. But a lot of people like rushing, anxiety, nervousness, whatever, medication, blah, 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 whatever. But you have to take control. You have to be proud and courageous in the silence. You have to be courageous in the silence. So I tell everybody, listen to Miles Davis. Is kind of, just listen to So What by Miles Davis. All of us probably know, but if you listen to So What while you're writing, you'd be like, whoa, I heard this beautiful lyrical, this hauntingly beautiful lyrical trumpet, then it just disappeared. It went ba, ba, da, da, then it was gone. And I'm now like, where'd it go? Da, 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 da. Ba, 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 ba. You need to write like that. Then when you write like that, when you get up to read, when you get up to say your stuff or videotape your stuff, you're not afraid of the spaces in between. Then you start to write using words that you know will force you to stop and create a Miles Davis silence. Shakespeare knew this. There was no Miles Davis when Shakespeare was writing, but Shakespeare knew this. It is the cause. It is the cause, my soul. Let me not name it. Those are monosyllables. Ba, ba. It is the cause.
Reggie, we have a question from Pat Anthony.
Okay.
Pat, do you want to answer? Going to ask your question?
Yes. You mean the question that I posted?
Right.
Oh,
Patricia, I'm sorry, because I'm not even looking at the chats.
It's cool.
You know, I apologize to everyone because I don't do that because I'm busy trying to look at faces and listen. But I'm really sorry.
Yeah, so you did a piece by Suhair, right? And then you did another piece. Who did the second piece?
Okay, that is
the second poet.
Deirdre Moses, and her poetic name was 99. And the way she spelled it was the number 9 and then spelled out N-I-N-E. So it's not Deirdre Moses.
All right, thank you, brother.
AKA 99. Thank you. And sorry about not answering the chat.
Not a problem.
I got to get better at that. Any last thoughts? You like that poem though, huh?
Yeah, Patricia? Absolutely. I got out of I'm a teacher. I'm an English teacher. And I got out of reading poetry for pleasure. And I'm pretty much, reading poetry in the textbooks. And I need some new poets to expose my students, particularly people of color. So.
But you obviously know Suhair though, obviously.
I know Suhair because we used to read together back in the day.
So
but
I don't know you.
It's been a long time since I've written or read poetry.
I don't know you, Patricia.
Brother, you don't know me, but I've encountered you several times over the years. But my writing was really sporadic even back then because I was, dealing with a lot of different areas. Yeah, for sure that. And then a lot of different areas of my own creativity. So I was dabbling in a lot of stuff. So I wasn't consistent with the poetry. But I definitely need new poets to expose my students and also just to read for, my own pleasure.
Well, you should reach out to me. We should hook up with emails and texts. I can give you all the people you need. Trust me. You know what? I've gotten to the point in my life that I feel bad if I don't know 100 other people's poems in my head. I feel bad. That's where I've gotten with this. That if I don't know, if I couldn't do an hour on stage in front of 100 people of other people's poetry, I would be ashamed of myself. Because if you take a great sax, can you imagine how many different people John Coltrane could play? Or Charlie Parker, or Miles Davis, right? Or how many different styles of jump shots Kobe Bryant could have done. He could probably imitate every jump shot ever's been in the history of the game. And so, Patricia, for you, find 5 minutes a day just to jot something down. Get a 3x5 index card. When you wake up in the morning, I know you got a busy life. You wake up in the morning, write down whatever's the first thought comes in your head. Whatever it is, like I don't want to go to work today. I don't be around them little rugrats. Write it down. Go back to it later in the day or next week and write something about that feeling, not the story. Why did I feel like that when one of my best poems happened when I woke up and I wrote down on the index card, which is laying right beside my pillow. All right, I don't feel like writing today, and I went back to bed. I woke up later, I saw it, I don't feel like writing today. And the next line, but I'll write anyway, because how else can I get good? And it turned into this amazing poem that's like, not a signature poem, just an amazing thing because it was based on an exercise. So Patricia, you were a writer, you was in the life, you was running around Suhair and them, you was hanging, you was out there. So you need to just because if you're not doing it every day, you can't wait for emotion to slap you upside your head and make you write a poem, as Amiri would say. Sometimes a poem will grab you by your neck and say, write me. But that doesn't happen if you're not geared up and doing it. You got to be writing down. So you could write a letter to a famous person who's no longer with us as an exercise. I think I'm going to write me a poem to Langston Hughes or to Gwendolyn Brooks and see how she's doing. I'm going to write Gwendolyn Brooks to see how she's doing. Like just writing, the actual effort, the manual aspect of it is what will trigger these ideas. Because when the great thing comes, you'll be bored. Like in that same poem, I don't feel like writing, it says, you don't jump in a car jet, and just go 60 miles an hour. You don't jump in jet 60 miles an hour. Got to warm it up, let it breathe. All right. So if you're not writing all the time, when divine intervention comes, you're not ready. You're not greased and ready to go. That's why, boom, because you got 26 letters in the alphabet to work with. All right. You got those 5 vowel sounds. All right. That's it. That's your ammunition. That's your weaponry. The 26 letters. Yet I go in classrooms and I ask kids how many vowel sounds are in the alphabet, or how many consonants are in the alphabet, or even seasoned writers, right? And they're like looking at me like, whoa, what does that got to do with it? I know very few people who call themselves performance poets or spoken word artists who who do not practice the vowel sounds like they're the scales, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, a, e, I, o, u, sometimes y, backwards, forwards. Learn to say those words. Here, I'll leave you with this. Subordination of verbal measures to tonal considerations. Subordination of verbal measures to tonal considerations means to take that A, E, I, O, U, forget the Y, and stretch them. Stretch them, bend them, shape them, mold those vowel sounds. And it enhances your ability to grab a crowd's attention rhythmically by just stretching vowel sounds. And you can do it all, you can do it with your name. If you got a vowel in your name, and how many people don't have a vowel in their name, all right, you can just do it like, my last name is Gaines. So it'd be, here, if I go Reg, E, Gaines, that's subordination of verbal measures to tone consideration. Reg, E, Gaines, all right? Start with your name, work on it, practice it, A, I, O, U, sometimes Y, and learn. Then when you start to write, you start, oh, wait a minute, that I that I just put down in incomplete, N-O, that's not a long I, oh, incomplete, E, oh, okay, complete, incomplete. So now you could have iambic pentameter, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. The second line on the first line, it could be iambic pentameter. Second line don't fit, it's 11 or 12 beats. Take a vowel sound in the first time, stretch it. The 10 becomes 11, 11 becomes 12. All right, I'm gonna go. Thank you all for coming today. Pamela, thank you.
Thank you, Reg. Let's give him a big hand.
Young, thank you.
Reggie, you're a wonderful teacher.
Thank
and
you
a wonderful
all so
person.
much.
Thanks, Reggie.
Thank you, Reg. Great.
Thanks so much.
And tell those young people tell those young women about the contest. And I'll be hard on them, but hey.
You know, you might get a few in Arabic or in Spanish, so, you know, be ready.
But check this out. Even though I speak Spanish and understand Spanish, but let me tell you one thing, and we can end with this. Even if it's in a language I don't understand, I'll hear the music of it. I will hear them. And this is not a first. I've been to plenty of places where I didn't speak the language, but I've gone to poetry readings. Let me tell you something. You can hear frustration. You can hear celebration. You can hear anxiety. You can hear darkness. You can hear death. You can hear birth, even if you don't speak the language. And if you're writing poetry that doesn't sing, that doesn't have song, that doesn't have sound symbolism, it's not really great. It's really not great. Peace and blessings, everyone. Thank you.
Come back to us.
Please.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Reg, thank you
you
so much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay.